What's going on, guys? Raiden Amazing here. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we're actually be going over the Kinich and Raiden Shogun banners and letting you guys know whether or not you should be pulling on the banners. We're going to be going over all the 4 stars on the banner, guys, and then briefly talk about the 5 stars here, and we'll be discussing whether or not this is actually going to be worth pulling for to pick up any of these characters. Now, I plan on doing a build guide for both Kinich and Raiden Shogun, guys, so obviously look out on the channel for those. But Chevrolet, Sara, and Toma have been the confirmed 4 stars on the banner, and so we know exactly now what the banners are looking like for the the actual character banners, and then also the weapon banners as well for the epitomized invocation. So yeah, let's actually start with Kinich, guys. I'll briefly go over his kit real quick on the actual game, and I'll explain what he does, and then we'll go over Raiden Shogun's kit, and then we'll talk the 4 stars as well. Alright, guys, so this is the actual version 5.0 little information here on the characters, and this is all the information we have on Kinich on the left right here. So I'll read pretty much the basis of his kit, and I'll show you guys exactly how his skills look and stuff. But Kinich is a Dendro damage dealer with high mobility. When casting his elemental skill, Kinich will enter the Night Soul's blessing state and use a grappling hook to link with enemies. In this state, he can accumulate Night Soul points through various methods such as loop shots, and when the Night Soul points are full, Kinich can expend them to unleash the powerful scale spiker cannon, dealing Dendro damage. His elemental burst summons the almighty dragon lord Ajah, who will periodically unleash his dragon's breath, dealing AoE Dendro damage. And then obviously, as you guys can see, these are going to be all the materials, and then these are what his skills are actually going to look like. So this is his normal attack. You can see that's the kind of the manner it looks like. You also can do like a dash into an attack. That's kind of cool. Yeah, and then we have his movement. So obviously he has his little movement in the area. This is the way his elemental skill works when actually fighting an enemy when you link onto them. So that's pretty cool. And then we also have the jaw on his ultimate right here, where it's gonna have the AoE Dendro damage. So yeah, obviously really cool right there. And then yeah, for his passive talents, he obviously has the movement one. And then I guess he can also shoot those little explosion things as well. So that's obviously very cool. And then a lot of stuff going on in his actual kit, guys, but I just wanted to go over him fairly briefly here. I didn't want to go super in depth into Kinich. But yeah. So Kinich, in my opinion, is a really cool Dendro DPS character. I think he's gonna be able to probably compete with Haitham Nahida. Not necessarily in single target DPS, but definitely in the sense that he is going to be on par or maybe even better than those characters in that type of setting. Now, the main thing though that I have to specify is that Kinich is only going to be really run on burning and burgeon teams. So if you're someone that doesn't really like those reactions specifically, then maybe Kinich is not for you. But if you do like the mobility that he provides, and also the fact that you can run him on burgeon and burning teams, then yeah, I mean, that's definitely a plus. So that's going to be Kinich right there. Let's move on to the Raiden Shogun, guys, and we'll talk briefly about what she's able to do, and then yeah, we'll talk the 4 stars. Alright, guys, so we have Raiden Shogun already in the game. This is going to be her, I think, her 4th rerun or her 3rd rerun. I don't actually remember the exact rerun state that it is, but I'm going to briefly go over this character here, guys, and then we'll talk exactly why she's such a good character, and yeah, and then we'll talk the 4 stars as well. So Raiden Shogun is a character here that I think is a very good character. She has her E skill right here, where she actually has some AoE electro damage. It actually lasts a very long time as well. You guys can see the duration's 25 seconds and the cooldown's only 10 seconds. So that's obviously really good, and it's called the coordinated attack. And pretty much every time you use it or damage the enemy, either it being a charge, normal, whatever attack, it's actually going to hit this coordinated attack on the enemy. And you guys can see here that it also does increase your elemental burst damage bonus as well, per energy you actually gain from this as well. And then her ultimate is obviously a very strong skill right here, where it pretty much converts all of the damage that Raiden Shogun does into elemental burst damage whenever you're doing a charge, normal, or plunging and all of that. And yeah, you're actually gonna get a ton of extra damage on this skill, and you get an initial main hit, and then you get a bunch of hits after the fact. So yeah, very strong ultimate. In terms of her passive talents, she gets some more resolve stacks. For you guys that don't know the resolve stacks, pretty much the more elemental bursts are used, the stronger that Raiden Shogun's ultimate is gonna be when she does her elemental burst, pretty much. So that's kind of the idea of it, is based on the cost of the allies elemental burst. And then yeah, she does also For every 1% above the 100% energy recharge, she gains extra energy restoration from her ult, and you also gain 0.4% electro damage bonus for every 1% above 100%. So very big buff right there if you're trying to actually get some more electro damage bonus for the character. Yeah, I mean, other than that, you get the you know, the more expended when ascending swords and pull-ons is decreased. But yeah, generally speaking though, guys, this character is a very strong character in the game, and I actually would recommend you know, picking up Raiden Shogun if you don't have her already. Just a very flexible, you know, electro DPS. You can have her on field, you can have her off field. Yeah, I mean, this is just a little brief like explanation of better, but yeah, she's just a very good character, man. Alrighty guys, so that pretty much goes over the 2 5-stars on the banners. Now let's actually talk the 4-stars that are available as well, and we'll you know, discuss whether or not they're going to be worth picking up as well. But I'm going to briefly go over these characters. I'm not going to go super in-depth into each of these characters, guys. But we have Chevreuse right here, Sara, and Thoma. Now, Chevreuse is a character that is tailor-made for the overload teams or pyro electro teams. She's able to buff, she's able to res shred the enemies for pyro and electro. She's able to give them pyro and electro you know, on one of her dupes. I think it's C6. She does provide the electro damage and pyro damage up to 60% elemental damage boost for both those elements, which is very strong. Yeah, no, she's obviously a great character. I think even at C0, she can be really good. She res shreds at C0, and she provides an attack buff while healing you. So, I mean, you know, C0 Chevreuse, hard to miss up on that, man. I feel like that alone already, you know, gives her a lot of, you know, value, right? You know, Sara here is going to be mainly played alongside Electro DPS. She still can buff other characters, but mainly for Electro DPS characters. So Chlorinde, Raiden Shogun, yeah, mainly those characters specifically because of the way it works, where on her dupes, I think on the base, it's completely fine and you can run her with general characters, and she's kind of like a Bennett buff, you know, in a sense. But generally speaking though, with higher dupes, you actually do want to run her alongside electro damage characters, because she actually does buff electro damage as well as providing the attack buff from her E and her ultimate. So yeah, Sara is, I think, a really good character, especially for Raiden Shogun specifically. So obviously if you have Chevreuse, Sara, and Raiden Shogun, like those 3 characters already on a team, guys, are very strong. And you have Thoma here, which is going to be a pyro shielder. He has a fairly good pyro application when you do his ultimate and into his E. You know, obviously he's going to be a shielder, so he's going to be, you know, providing the tanking for the team. And if you wanted to run Thoma on this team, actually, like if you wanted to build a team and this was the 4 characters you had right here for Raiden Shogun specifically, boom, that's actually a viable team, which is kind of crazy to think, right? You can run Chevreuse, Sara, Thoma, and Raiden Shogun, the entire banner, as a team, and you could easily clear, like, you know, one side of floor 12 Spiral Abyss easily. So that's honestly a really cool, you know, thing that you can do, right? I think that's pretty nice. But yeah, no, like the Raiden Shogun's super flexible with all these characters, which is really nice. The only unfortunate thing about this, guys, is that Kinich kind of gets screwed over with all the 4-stars kind of being tailored for Raiden Shogun. Thoma does have viability with them though, I will say that. But Sara and Chevreuse are really made for Raiden Shogun, man. But Thoma could definitely work with Kinich if you want to shield her for Burning or Burgeon. So yeah, I guess there's that. But yeah, overall, guys, should you be pulling on this banner only if you really want a Dendro DPS with Kinich, or if Raiden Shogun is your main, or you really want to pick up Raiden Shogun. Honestly, this run of Raiden Shogun is one of her best, you know, to date. I think the last one that had Bennett instead of Thoma was a little bit better, because that team, personally, I think, you know, if you run Bennett, Sara, Chevreuse, Raiden Shogun, I think that setup is probably one of her best. Just for hyper carry, it just feels really nice too. But yeah, no, like I still think that this is a really good banner if you're a Raiden main. I would actually definitely summon on this banner to at least pick up maybe 1 copy of Chevreuse if you don't have her already as well. Alright guys, now moving on to the weapon banners here, we have the Fang of Mountain King and the Engulfing Lightning being the signatures for both Kinich and Raiden Shogun. And then in terms of the other weapons we have here, we have the Sacrificial Bow, Sword, we have Favonius Lance, Rain Slasher, and then I think that's Widsith. So overall, the weapon banner right here, if you are planning on summoning for this weapon banner, Sac Sword is really good. Favonius Lance is really good for just energy generation. Sac Bow I think is alright too, but you know, you only really get the use out of like Diona. Widsith is a very strong catalyst right there. You know, he's pretty flexible. You can run it on a lot of characters too. So there is that. Rain Slasher is really nice for like vaporized reactions if you're running Pyro or Hydro characters, specifically for that Claymore. I guess there's no Hydro Claymore, so I guess all Pyro DPS characters, but you can definitely take advantage of it. And then, yeah, Engulfing Lightning, very strong polearm. You can use it on, you know, Xiangling, Raiden Shogun. It pretty much converts your attack into energy, or no, you convert your energy recharge into attack, and that actually does provide you with a very big attack buff. If you're already building in a lot of, like, you know, ER or whatever the case, and very strong polearm for Raiden Shogun. And then the Fang of the Mountain King, I actually do have to pull up because I'm not 100% sure exactly what this weapon does. Alright guys, so I don't think they have the information completely yet for the Fang of the Mountain King, but from what I've seen and exactly what it does, it's definitely tailored for Kinich specifically. It does have a crit rate main stat at about 11% at the level 90, and I think the max level, it has a 674 attack. I think it's 741 actually base attack, because it's just like you know, Shenhe's weapon and Eula's, right? It's just very high base attack. Yeah, no, and then the actual like effects in the passive, it's mainly, you know, tailored for Burning Burgeon, as I mentioned, specifically for Kinich in his kit. Yeah, you get a lot of effect through using the elemental skill, and yeah, I mean, the weapon is obviously going to be his best in slot, still a very viable weapon, and maybe a Kaveh best in slot, maybe. I mean, not that it's really going to buff him for like those teams specifically, but you definitely could run it if you're looking for, you know, those types of reactions. But yeah, that would be pretty much my review of the banners though, guys. For the weapon banner, I would probably say that this is a summon if you're someone that's gonna go for Kinich and Raiden anyway, and you do want to get their weapons alongside some pretty good 4-stars, then yeah, I mean, actually not a bad weapon banner to summon on. The thing is, it's hard to recommend weapon banners because they're not really the greatest, but with the new you know, system they have for actually guaranteeing the weapons, it's a little bit easier now, and you can actually, you know, chart your course a lot safer now with saving your currency. So yeah, I think this is actually not a bad banner. You do get Sack Sword, Favonius Lance. Those are two really good weapons right there as 4-stars, and then obviously if you're looking for any of these weapons at the on the main pull, then those are going to be really good as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Will you guys be summoning for Kinich or Raiden Shogun? And that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one, man.